What's going on, everybody? I want to tell y'all what the scariest baby step is in Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. I started following these baby steps back in 2016, and this is by far the scariest baby step. And it's not as, I guess it's not, it is a specific baby step, but you kind of got to be in this situation, this certain situation. And I've listened to the show and I've heard a lot of people that are in this situation, and they get so close to wanting to take that leap to pay off, their debt, but they're scared to pull the trigger. And this is what I'm talking about. So back in 2016, I had one debt. So I was living in a paid for mobile home at the time, but I was driving a 2015 Silverado truck, and if I remember right, I owed $23,000 and some change on the truck. And I read Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, so I knew baby step 1 was save $1,000. So I had $25,000 and like some change to my name in my checking account. That was what I had in 2016. I was 19, 20, I was 20 or 21 at the time. That sounds right. Might have been 22. But I had $25,000 to my name. So I had the $1,000 starter emergency fund. So I go to baby step 2, and it says pay off all consumer debt. Pay off all your debt except for your house. Well, I didn't have a house payment. I was living, like I said, in a paid for mobile home at the time. That's, another story of, you don't want to buy a mobile home. They go down in value. But so I had to make that decision of selling this truck, which really didn't come to my mind at the time. I should have gotten rid of the truck. I was driving a truck that cost more than my house at the time. If looking back on it, I was stupid, right? So I hit the baby step 2, and I was like, oh man, if I pay off my truck, I'm going to have like $1,500 left to my name. But I'll be debt free following the baby steps. I slept on that for about 24 hours. I gave myself a day, and I pulled that trigger. And that was the scariest thing, was depleting my savings all the way down to just having $1,500, which is baby step 1. Leave yourself $1,000. Just in case you have a flat tire on a car or something, you can pay for it and not have to go back into debt. So I depleted my savings all the way down to like $1,500. And that was scary. But that was the step I needed to take. I ended up getting rid of the truck a little bit later, selling it, putting some money back into savings, and then ended up saving up for a down payment on a house later, down the line there, just like a year later. But I pulled that trigger, that scary, scary part of getting rid of all the money that I had in order to pay off my debt. Like Dave Ramsey says, go down to $1,000 and put the rest of your money, attack all of your consumer debt with a vengeance. But that right there, taking that step, that set me up. I believe that right there is that's what I needed to do. Because taking myself down to that, you know, $1,000, $1,500 or whatever I had left after paying the truck off. It wasn't quite $2,000, I remember that. But baby step 3 was save up a 3 to 6 months emergency fund. So my goal was to save up $10,000, to get $10,000 in a separate savings account to give me a buffer, you know, between me and life. If anything popped up, I could use that 10 grand to pay for it. And taking that step of paying my truck off and going down in that much money, that lit a fire under me to build that emergency fund up to $10,000 as quickly as I could. And I don't remember exactly how fast I did that. If I was guessing, it wasn't long. It had to be 4 to 6 months. I mean, I was working the weekends. I was working as much as possible to put that $10,000 that I had set for my 3 to 6 months emergency fund back in the bank, because when you've got $25,000 in the bank, you feel like you got some money. But what you don't realize is, what I didn't realize is I owed whoever it was, Ally Financial, I think's who it was. I owed the bank $23,000. So that 25 grand that I had in my checking account wasn't even really mine, actually. I mean, it made me, if it was mine, it was in my account, right? But I owed $23,000 to somebody else. It wasn't my money. And when that clicked in my head about owing somebody else money, and another institution or a person or whatever, whoever you owe money, having power over your life and having to work so many hours at your job just in order to pay your debt. You know, if you start looking at the amount of time you have to work, the amount of time that you do work just to make those vehicle payments and credit card payments and all that stuff. And I didn't have all those other debts. I had my truck and that was it. Like I said, I paid it off, and that's how I got out of baby step 2. I started off pretty good, I feel like. That was a scary step I had to take. But a lot of people don't get on this journey, or that they do get on this journey of following Dave Ramsey's baby steps, and they're already $100,000, $200,000 in debt. And it ends up taking them, on average, it's 18 to 24 months to get out of debt. Which isn't bad. You can be in debt the rest of your life making those payments pretty much. Or you can start working the baby steps and you can attack and get rid of that debt. Put you a good buffer of money in the bank to basically be your own bank. When something comes up, you can pay cash for it. But that's the scariest baby step. The scariest part for me following the baby steps that I had on the journey. And I may tell more of following this journey. I ended up buying a house with a 0 credit score, going through getting manual underwriting done. People say, you know, you got to have credit to operate. You don't. I don't have a credit score. My credit score is indeterminable. I haven't had a credit score now for, I paid this house off like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I haven't had a credit score going on 2 years. You just don't need one if you follow the baby steps and do it right. So that's what I really wanted to just share. The scariest part of my journey following the baby steps was depleting my savings And once you realize it's not even your money, you owe that money to somebody else, it ought to make it a little bit easier. It ought to make you, realize kind of playing a messed up game here. This is just making me feel comfortable, but that money sitting there might be making you feel comfortable, but it's got somebody else's name on it. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. God bless. Y'all have a good day.